What is up, everybody? It is Rohan. I wanted to quickly get on here because there's something on my mind today for a long period of time. And it was this idea of what really made me succeed. And besides working hard, because people say, oh, work hard to succeed, etc., work smart, have strategy, which is all true. But the mindset that really got me to where I have gotten is basically don't look for shortcuts. But not only don't look for shortcuts, whatever the opposite of a shortcut is, do that. I think as human beings, we all have this like natural inclination to find shortcuts and everything. How can we get the most for the less? How can we put the least amount of effort and get the most amount of subscribers, most amount of views, most amount of whatever it is? How can we get more of a bang for a buck? Now, obviously, that makes sense why someone would do that. The problem is everyone is doing that. And also, we are also consumers, so we know everyone is doing that. And we always are filled, and our content online is constantly filled with people who are trying to take advantage of the system, trying to get the most for the least amount, not putting more effort in comparison to what they should, always trying to get more than what they put in. And the way I really stood out as a creator and just made the right content was I was so worried about just putting my best foot forward. I wasn't worried about getting a little scamming the system a little bit, catfishing the YouTube algorithm. I was worried about how could I put out the best thing possible. So basically just like challenge myself versus trying to get a bang for my buck. And that was the mindset I was in when I formulated some of the best, I think, content when it came to YouTube, the best videos I've made and the best music I've made. I think when you don't try to take advantage of people and you don't try to get more for less, people see that. And people notice it. And as a result, they're like, okay, this person has clearly prioritized, my enjoyment and prioritized a good course of content over the algorithm, so I want to do something to help them out. And I'm not saying like give money or anything, but people will notice when you put the content over trying to get something out of the content, and because of that, it gains a little bit of like respect. Like you didn't immediately sell us out for the algorithm. You didn't immediately sell us out for the next thing. You know what I mean? And ironically, it not only creates respect, but I actually think the videos do better. I think when you're trying to get the most out of putting the least amount of effort in, you're not going to ever get the right deal. But if you just say, you know what, I'm going to put the most effort in and get the least amount of views, switch it around. Whatever the opposite of a shortcut is, do that. What is the longest path? The long cut. How do we take the long cut? Because when you take the long cut, you're doing what nobody else has the patience or ability to do. And also you end up creating things that are truly magical and I think legendary because they're done to such a artistic degree. And I think art is all about taking the long cuts, not taking the shortcuts. That's what makes art what it is, because art is so multidimensional and imperfect that if it were to be optimized to any degree, it wouldn't really be under the characteristics of, I think, what art is at least connects to us with. Art is always about, I think, giving more than you get. I mean, at least what I've seen with this art. So I realized now that I'm just so caught up with my expectations, I've been just like, oh, I really need to succeed by June of next year. That's what I really, really want. And I think what that does is I'm optimizing the result of trying to succeed. I'm optimizing how I can do the least amount of work and get the idea of success. Because if you optimize for any result, I think naturally we're like, oh, you need to do the least amount to get it, because that's what optimization is. How do you use the variables you have the least to achieve it? So when I say I want to make it by June 2026, I'm subconsciously saying I want to do the minimum amount of work to make it till June 2026. And when I set any goal, I think when it comes to being a creator, I automatically say I want to do the minimum amount to achieve that goal. Which I'm not saying is a demonic or evil thing at all, but it makes me back into the mindset of I want to do the minimum thing when it comes to whatever I want from life. So I'm going to change it up a little bit, and I don't know how it's going to do. I don't know how any of this is going to do, but I'm not going to really be talking about June 2026. Fuck June 2026. We don't need to be talking about that anymore. I'm not going to be talking about what I need from this channel or that channel. All I'm going to say is I'm going to put my best foot forward, because you can't minimize putting your best foot forward. You can't take advantage of that, because that's literally your best, right? And I think when I put my best foot forward, people will see. People will notice, and I have to trust. I honestly have to trust the world a little bit more. I have to trust that, hey, I can put my best foot forward, and it will get to the right people. People will see and people will listen. Instead of trying to game the system so much, let me really just put my all in and strip myself naked when it comes to self-expression. Strip myself to a vulnerable level, and a level where I put a lot of work into something. Not sure if it's going to work out. Basically the opposite of a shortcut. The quote-unquote dumbest strategic thing you could do just to see what could happen. Because, I mean, if you're trying to stand out and if you run across a rare item, if you run across something that's, a minted condition, rare Pokemon card within a deck of Pokemon cards, you're going to cherish it. But if you have a bunch of fake Pokemon cards that all look like they're rare, but they're not, which is the equivalent of trying to take a shortcut, it is not going to matter to you. So if I just become the rare vintage card, I think I'll be treated like the rare vintage card. And I'll be priced like the rare vintage card versus trying to take a shortcut, which would make me the fake vintage card, which after people realize is fake is not really going to do anything. So I don't know why I'm making a Pokemon card analogy. I'm not even into that. But hey, that's what I want to say. I want to detach in general from this whole I want to make it by this time. I don't know what's going to happen if I don't make it by June 2026, but I don't want to think about it, bro. I want to be happy, and I want to be productive, and I want to make the best stuff I can. That's what I want to do. And that's what my mission should be to do, not to get a certain result. Because it's kind of selfish for me to say that I want to achieve something by a year. If I don't say that, I mean, I know how important it is for me to succeed on this, but that's not important to anybody else. What's important to them is me providing value. And that's what I need to focus on. I need to step outside of myself and what I want and step inside to what people need. And if the world doesn't reward me after I do this trust fall, if I take a trust fall and I say, you know what, I'm going to create the best content ever without looking back, and it screws me over terribly, then so be it, dude. So be it. I'll learn my lesson, and I'll start taking shortcuts. But I think taking the long cut has always paid off in every regard of my life. So might as well try it here. youth. And until we figure that out, I don't think racism will be stopped. Obviously, it's not cool. Obviously, it's not cool to be racist, but that never convinced anybody, dude. I'm not saying we deserved racism either. I'm not saying that, but I want to really solve this problem. And I've been thinking for a while, what will really solve this problem? And it's almost something in the culture that people can finally refer to us as. That people try to copy, other races try to copy. And maybe it is spirituality, but maybe we need to redefine it. We need to not be the homework anymore. We need to be the thing that people do after the homework. So, I don't know what I'm going to title this, but I wanted to get that out, bro. I wanted to get that out.